Hello, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kelly. We are two ordinary people living anything but an ordinary life. Together we make the Fantasy Life, and this is the Van Life Podcast.
In episode 1, we give our background story and why we chose the van life lifestyle.
We just finished our 6 months of travels in our van as part of our van life adventure. And during our travels, we did a lot of listening to music, talking to each other, and a big part of our time on the road was spent listening to podcasts. So we wanted to create a resource for other van lifers and give them some advice, stories from our trip, as well as interviews with past and present van lifers.
So, a little background on us first. I'm from Houston, Texas, and Kelly's from rural Pennsylvania. And we met at work, and we did sales, and we kind of had a normal corporate job for a while. Something about living that way just did not fulfill us and satisfy us at all. Waking up at the same time, going to the same place, doing the same thing, seeing the same people, being treated like a number. I don't know. Something just wasn't clicking there. We came across the crazy idea. I don't know how else you'd come across it other than just stumble upon it somehow. The van life. And we were like, wow, that's kind of silly, but awesome. Like, we would never do that, but looks cool. It's cool to watch it on YouTube or whatever. Slowly but surely, like, the idea just became a reality. Like, it just stuck with us. We, like, made it happen, but we had a lot to do in order to make it happen.
Looking back now, I would see our first domino was Jonathan got let go from his job. Then from there, it gave us a little more flexibility to look into this lifestyle. And since I wasn't fulfilled in my job as well, it was an easy decision that I wanted to quit my job. And so we both quit our jobs, and then we rented out our house. We got rid of our cars. We got rid of all of our stuff, donated tons of clothing, sold our furniture, really minimized the things we had in life.
Yeah, which you have to do that, obviously, if you're living in a van. Even though we quit our jobs and we lost our health insurance and we lost our benefits, and that's a little bit scary, we were able to start up a little small e-commerce business to basically, provide some income to help us pay for the lifestyle. Even though we didn't spend that much, which is the beauty of the lifestyles, you don't really have to spend that much. You don't pay for rent, you don't pay for mortgage, you don't pay bills. You just pay for what you eat and what you do, and maybe a couple other miscellaneous costs that you probably don't plan for.
And it wasn't easy doing all of that. It was scary. It was scary renting our house. It was hard renting our house. It was hard getting rid of our vehicles. But it all did work out, and we ended up buying a Mercedes Sprinter van. And we bought it used. We found it on Craigslist. After we quit our jobs and moved out of our house, that's where the real hard work began. And we started converting our van into a camper van.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, we had like no skills, didn't know how to use tools, basically didn't even know how to use a hammer. And yet we had this empty van looking at like ideas and inspiration from other folks, and we're like, holy crap. Like, how are we going to build this? I don't even know, like, where to begin. But at the same time, that was, like, super appealing and, like, very fun because, like, we learned so much. We grew so much. We, like, just appreciate so much more now. And, like, we did okay. It doesn't look great, but, it worked for us.
It looked all right, and it was very functional, very lightweight. It was everything we wanted. Maybe not the picturesque Instagram look, but it definitely worked for us.
Yeah, and we definitely like did it on a super small budget, so like, that doesn't help. We weren't buying any top of the line materials or gadgets or anything like that. So not only is this lifestyle, we wanted the lifestyle to be minimal as far as, not being able to dictate our own time and where we want to go and what we want to see and what we want to do, but then also, there's no point in having a Wi-Fi extender and a TV and like all this stuff in your van. I feel like it's a little bit contradicting.
It did take us quite a while to finish our van. We spent 3 months on the build, And then that day finally came, and it was like a child on Christmas Eve waiting for Christmas. I was so excited, and I barely slept the night before because I was like, tomorrow we are leaving and living life in a completely new way and have no idea what's happening. There's not many words to explain that excitement.
Yes, I'd be remiss to say we had a little bit of help, of course. So for folks who, don't have family or friends nearby, that would make it a little bit more difficult. We had a lot of help from family and friends as far as the build, and we stayed with my parents for a while during the build. So you have to have some help, of course. So that made it easier. But once it was time for us to go, it was like, reality. The reality has struck, but it was like a good reality. We were like, holy moly. We just went from like the normal cycle of life to now we're living this just off the wall, very different, very somewhat scary because it's kind of unknown. But we were so excited. Wow. We were so excited to get going.
It is, especially if you're someone in a professional field. The first few days are very hard to get used to. You can wake up whenever you want. You have spare time, so you can figure out what you want to do that makes you happy. And that actually takes an adjustment. It's not as easy as it sounds. Especially for anyone that is still in the planning or maybe the what if stage, if you can do van life. It is, at least in our experience, it was so worth it. As long as you really work hard towards your goal of van life, you can make it happen. I mean, we had lots of obstacles, and in the beginning, we actually said we aren't going to do it because it was too hard. And we forgot one huge factor is we have 2 cats, so it was like leaving 2 of your children with someone else while you're traveling around. So even if you have obstacles, if it's something you want to do, it is worth it for the experience and kind of the life-changing experience of living in a different way.
Yeah, and there's different ways to van life, too. Ours was focused on traveling. We went all over the United States and Canada. So it allowed us to do that very frugally. We didn't pay for one night anywhere we went. Not a single night we didn't pay for a stay. And
we never paid for parking.
So we lived in Seattle, we lived in Denver, we lived in New York City, we lived in Boise, which is one of our favorite places. Weird stuff like that. We were able to just experience life in so many different places and so many different ways and meet so many great people that whether you're traveling or you're actually staying put, not only is the van life can be like inspirational and life-changing, but heck, it also can just save you a ton of money. If you have like an apartment somewhere and the weather's okay enough for you to live in your van for 6 months to a year or even longer than that, you can save so much money. Our van was plenty big enough for both of us. I imagine just one of us doing it, we could even have a smaller van. Our journey wasn't all glitz and glamour and rainbows and sunshines. We had some tough nights. We had some cold nights. We had some hot nights. Our van broke down. It was just, overall, it was amazing, but there are some seriously struggle moments. We wanted to basically just start this podcast and share our insights, our stories, help as many people as we can that are looking to do this or something like this.
So that's enough about us, and our next episode we are going to discover, is van life right for you? Some of our pros and cons of van life, and if making the switch to van life is the right choice. If you would like to check out some pictures and videos from our adventure, feel free to check us out on Instagram at The Fantasy Life.